This is TWiT.
I might start with this. This is Scott Galloway, who wrote another book that we've talked about, The Big Four, all about the four horsemen of the tech apocalypse. He has his predictions for 2019 for big tech and beyond. He did something very brave. He went back and looked at his predictions last year on and graded them. That's what you do if you're a professor.
That is brave.
Very brave. He thought Wayfair would crash. He was wrong. He thought Twitter, Snap, and BuzzFeed would be acquired. He was wrong. But he did a few things right. He said Amazon would surpass Apple in value. No one would have thought that. And that was partly because of a stock market bust as opposed to the growth of Amazon. But maybe Amazon was...
His point with the Amazon was that it's got much greater growth potential than Apple does, because Apple has to top out when there's a phone in every pocket, and they don't have a successor to that, whereas Amazon has plenty of room to grow in e-commerce. Like in the US, Amazon's only reaching like 5% of the total retail market, and they might have 50% of online business, but that's still only 5% of the overall retail turnover in the US. So they've got so much more room to grow. There's no way they're not going to be bigger than Apple eventually.
But that's not the reason why Amazon stock doubled last year. It's because of AWS, because they stumbled onto a second horse.
Completely accidentally, right?
Yeah.
Hey, we've got some extra servers in the closet, Jeff. What should we do with those? Yeah.
The second horse is going to be way bigger than the e-commerce business. Way bigger.
And then also, everyone's always talking about how they're getting into advertising and things like that. But like, if you think about it, like I mean, obviously I'm not saying anything anybody doesn't know, but Amazon has their fingers in so many pies that like, so, you know, everybody's doing a streaming thing. Amazon's had streaming video for forever. But, you know, the insane advertising thing that they could do is if they release an ad-supported, I think they already do through Twitch or something, an ad-supported streaming video play. Well, the ads could be tailored to things that you've already bought in your Amazon history, to things that you've looked at but haven't bought yet. So, like, they could potentially, they have so many potential huge things they can tap.
Actually, to that point, Scott, and again, this is talking about last year's predictions. He said Amazon Media Group would surpass the revenue of Twitter and Oath. What he didn't predict is that Oath would be renamed Verizon Media Group. But he was, but he was right about revenue. He says at the beginning of the year, Morgan Stanley predicted Amazon's Media Group would have a revenue of $4.5 billion. It probably is closer to $11 billion. So yeah, even media is doing well for Amazon. Let's look at his predictions, though, for 2019. Snap is The Walking Dead. I think that's pretty obvious, or no? Think Snapchat will survive?
I think Snap was The Walking Dead, but if Facebook merges, and this is another news article which maybe we'll cover, but they had an article in New York Times. They got a scoop. New York Times got a scoop on Facebook saying that Facebook wants to merge Instagram, WhatsApp, and the Facebook Messenger program into one. If that happens, then Snapchat will be very popular because Facebook will screw that up and drive customers into the arms of Snapchat.
Very interesting. Yeah, because Facebook's notorious for screwing stuff like that up.
As soon as Zuckerberg gets involved in something, it gets screwed up. Yeah.
Yeah, the theory is
Google will buy Twitter and Snap.
I've been saying that for the last 5 years.
No,
you think so?
They've just been waiting they've been waiting for Twitter to get cheap enough to buy. I think I said once Twitter's at 12, they're not even close to 12 right now. It's gone way up. But once it gets to 12, I think Google pulls the trigger.
Galloway predicts Twitter will be cut in half in 2019, mostly because of bots, foreign agents, you know, all of the crap on Twitter. I think that's a fair prediction, but I've been saying that for years too. So I don't know.
Google doesn't do content. Google can't be a media company, and Twitter, Facebook, Snap, they're all media companies. So Google can't buy them and won't.
Twitter really isn't a media company, though. They are trying to be, but they're really a data company. They just don't know it yet. And so I think
it doesn't matter. Google's getting nailed in the EU for antitrust, for screwing over the local press, for all that stuff, right? And if they were to buy Twitter, the European Union would be down on them so hard that it wouldn't matter. Twitter, Snap, Facebook, they're publishers. They're absolutely content creators. Their platforms are all about stealing content from other people and publishing it repackaging it as content that they produce. Google can't do that. And if it does, it will die. It will instantly be subject to an antitrust action in the EU and then shortly after that in the US.
Ultimately, though, they're all in the same business, which is collecting data for sales, right? I mean, that's really the business. It's just a matter of how you get that data.
That's the business. Twitter, I do think Twitter is a real-time data business. I do agree with you, Greg, though, in that most people don't understand that. I think Twitter barely understands it.
That's the problem, frankly. Twitter's got the worst management ever. They don't seem to understand what to do with it, right? Or is it just hard?
Did you read the article from Jack Dorsey that he published this week?
Yeah, Jack.
And he was the guy is insane. The guy's a nutcase. He's going on about, we've got to do this. And, I met Mark Zuckerberg and we killed a goat and then we ate it and, blah, blah, blah. And you go like, this is not how the CEO of a major major company acts. Like, we've seen Elon Musk come unhinged. Now we're watching Jack Dorsey turn into a Fruit Loop. Zuckerberg's clearly losing his control over at Facebook. He's just like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to just say stuff and see what happens. And it's all just going bananas, right? It's really funny watching these tech company CEOs all just blow up because they don't know what it's like to have a bad day.
I mean, the world is changing around them so quickly. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, you guys are too polite. Just jump in.
The world.
Go ahead, Jason.
If you're Elon Musk, if you're Mark Zuckerberg, if you're Jack Dorsey, the world is changing around them so quickly. And their companies, when they get big, it's just hard to change big companies quickly. And they are struggling really, really hard with it. Everything great has been created by small teams and usually gets eventually screwed up by big teams. And even the iPhone, I'm sure you guys have seen the stories, and I've talked to people that were on the original team, the iPhone team. It was about 20 people that made the iPhone. You get in the position where when it's big enough, you play not to lose. And that's what we're seeing now is they're playing not to lose. It doesn't work at internet scale. It doesn't work at internet speed. And these are problems that are a little unique to the history of business. And it's not going well.
Not.
I mean, I will completely
That's complete bunk. Agree. Stop apologizing for them. Those people are all idiots. They're kids. Look,
I'll say this, Greg. I'll say this. Yeah. I think it's pretty clear Mark Zuckerberg was just incredibly lucky.
Yeah.
Right?
He's not smart.
Yes. Agreed.
He's
incredibly lucky. Jack Dorsey, who knows why Jack Dorsey is running Twitter? Mostly because Ev and company just said, screw it. I got enough money. And then Google, Larry and Sergey, incredibly lucky. For a long time, didn't even know what they had. Some adult supervision came along, probably Eric Schmidt, but somebody came along and said, dudes, you got this mountain of data. This is really valuable stuff. And they went, what?
Yeah,
and
this is a data business.
That's, again, I think lucky, and I don't know who you'd point to be the genius there. Actually, I have a theory, but I don't want to get too much in the weeds on that one. In most cases, these guys are like Mark Cuban. They just are lucky sons of guns. They got in the right place at the right time, and they cashed in.
Mark Cuban was smart enough to cash in and get out and be a billionaire professionally.
Yeah, that's right. His life is a lot easier, right? Because he didn't have this delusion that he was a genius.
I've said that many times that Mark Cuban is quietly the most brilliant man ever to be in the tech industry because he got out. But the thing with
by the way, Jack, if I'd gotten somebody bought TWiT from me, like Yahoo bought broadcast.com from, and I got $1 billion, I would have gotten out too. So just give me some. I would have been just as brilliant.
So the thing with Jack is, in that article, because Jack's on a publicity tour again, and this happened the same. I was on the last time I think it was I was on the show. There was the Zuckerberg piece that got all the controversy. Like, I know I know PR people think that this is a good idea. We need to get him out there. He was on the Bill Simmons podcast. I'm a human like you, fellow humans.
Yeah.
The problem with Jack,
that's usually that's Mark does that too. I am a human like you, fellow.
Exactly. Yes. And so Jack's flavor of that is that I
killed a goat.
Sometimes no, because actually he was trying to differentiate himself.
He said he had a salad when
right.
Mark had the goat.
Thought that was a little weird, but that's the thing. So Jack, he sometimes comes off as like almost the most zen and like evolved tech CEO out there, but then other times and most times it's like, well, or he's just a flake. And so like, when I think there was a tweet this weekend about him talking about his 3-day fasts and things like that. And I can't remember because I'd give her a quote, obviously. But as somebody on Twitter said, well, now I understand why Twitter is the way it is, because the CEO is starving all the time. And when you talk to people that work at Twitter, the thing that they always say is when they go to other companies, they can't believe that decisions actually get made in a logical, timely manner, because at Twitter, the culture is just like, it takes them 3 years to decide to go beyond the character limit on tweets. And it's just like you can be zen and you can be philosophical, but also you need to be decisive.
I don't want to imply that these people are flawed. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they're normal. And that unfortunately they got very lucky. And what happens when you become a billionaire is you think that you suddenly, your mind gets twisted and you think you did it and you are somehow godlike. And the problem is that the problems that these companies face are very difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. I mean, we can see this is the history of technology companies from day one. The one person that I think might be a god, I'm not sure, is Jeff Bezos.
For sure. I think so.
Mostly Jeff Bezos hired people under him. So he set up a process so that the way that Amazon works is he created a management structure.
But that was smart.
Mostly him.
But that was smart, right? I mean, the whole pizza principle of don't have a meeting that you can't have more feed with two pizzas. The whole idea of writing, instead of making pitches for stuff, writing the press release. I think he did some very, very smart things.
That was a good one. The second one was he swindled the investors into convincing them not to take a profit. So
that only worked for a little while, though. Remember, he could no longer go back to the capital markets around about 2000, and he had to start to turn that profit knob a little bit.
Yeah. Those are the two innovations. Now, the challenge is I would never work for Amazon because those people are used like slaves.
That's another bright thing that Jeff Bezos did.
They're known for working them to the bone.
You want to become the richest man in the world?
Extort it from the slaves.